Before we dive into this story of love and betrayal, make sure to subscribe to my YouTube channel. Noah hummed softly as he set the dining table, placing a pair of tall, red candles at the center. Their gentle glow reflected off the polished wooden surface, casting a warm light over the neatly arranged plates and silverware. A vase with fresh roses, Cara's favorite, stood proudly in the middle. The scent of freshly baked bread wafted from the kitchen, mingling with the tantalizing aroma of marinara sauce simmering on the stove. Tonight, Noah had gone all out. It had been a rough few weeks between him and Cara. Their once harmonious relationship had hit a rough patch, filled with bickering over small misunderstandings that snowballed into heated arguments. Tonight was his attempt to make things right, a romantic dinner to rekindle the spark that had drawn them together in the first place. Noah checked his watch. Cara was due home any minute now. He smoothed his shirt, nervous but hopeful. Maybe this would be the beginning of a fresh chapter for them. As the sound of a car pulling into the driveway reached his ears, Noah's heart raced. He glanced at the mirror by the door, straightened his tie, and put on his best smile. The door creaked open, and Cara stepped inside. But she wasn't alone. Beside her stood a tall man with a confident air, his arm slung casually over her shoulder. Cara's eyes widened slightly when she saw the setup in the dining room, but the look of surprise quickly morphed into discomfort. She glanced at Noah and then at the man beside her, shifting awkwardly. "Noah," Cara began, her voice hesitant. "This is Oliver." Noah blinked, his smile faltering. "Oliver?" He looked at her, then at the stranger who had just walked into their home. "What's going on, Cara?" Cara sighed, avoiding his gaze. "Noah, we need to talk." The words felt like a punch to his stomach. He gestured towards the table, his voice tinged with disbelief. "I made dinner. For us. To talk, to fix things." Oliver, sensing the tension, stepped forward, his tone calm but firm. "Maybe I should wait outside." "No, stay." Noah interrupted, his eyes fixed on Cara. "I'd like to know what's going on here." Cara took a deep breath, finally meeting Noah's gaze. "I didn't mean for you to find out this way, but I've been seeing Oliver, and I think we should part way." Noah stared at her, unable to process her words. "You're seeing him?" "Cara, we're married." "What are you saying?" Cara's voice softened, but her words carried an edge of frustration. "I'm saying that I'm tired, Noah. Tired of the constant arguments, the misunderstandings. We've been drifting apart for a long time now." Noah's throat tightened. "So your solution is to bring another man into our home? Into the life we've built together?" "I didn't plan it this way," Cara said defensively. "But Oliver, he makes me happy. I came here to pack a bag. We're spending the weekend together." Noah's throat tightened further, the weight of her words feeling like a boulder pressing on his chest. He blinked, as though he could shake off the moment and wake up from what had to be a terrible dream. But there she stood, her expression resolute, her tone steady. "You're spending the weekend with him," Noah repeated, his voice barely above a whisper. The disbelief in his tone was almost palpable. "You walked into our home with him to tell me that?" Cara shifted uneasily, glancing at Oliver, who was clearly uncomfortable with the unfolding drama. "I didn't come here to hurt you, Noah," Cara said, her voice trembling slightly. "But things haven't been working between us. We both know it. You felt it too, haven't you?" Noah felt his anger rising, his frustration bubbling to the surface like a volcano about to erupt. "What I felt, Cara, was us hitting a rough patch. Couples go through that. We argue, we fight, but we fix it. We don't. We don't run off with someone else." Cara crossed her arms defensively, her brows furrowing. "You think this is easy for me? It's not. I've been trying for months. But every time we fight, I feel more and more alone. And Oliver." "Don't say it," Noah interrupted, shaking his head. He didn't want to hear about how this man, this intruder in their lives, had supposedly filled some void. It was too much. Cara sighed deeply, her shoulders slumping as though a weight had been lifted by her confession. I came to pack a bag. I'll come back for the rest of my things later. There and then, memories of that night came to Noah's mind. Their 7th anniversary was supposed to be special. Cara had spent the entire day preparing, setting the table with their finest china, cooking Noah's favorite meal, and dressing up in the elegant red dress he had always loved. She lit the candles just as the sun dipped below the horizon, their flickering light casting a romantic glow over the dining room. But as the minutes turned to hours, the candles burned low, and Cara's excitement transformed into a dull ache of disappointment. She checked the clock. 8 p.m., then 9:30 p.m., her heart sinking further with every tick. Finally, at 10:15 p.m., the front door creaked open, and Noah walked in, looking worn and frazzled. His tie was loosened, his laptop bag hung limply from his shoulder, and he reeked of exhaustion. "Cara," he began, but she cut him off. "You're late," she said, her voice sharp, masking the tears that threatened to spill. "I know. I'm so sorry," Noah said, running a hand through his disheveled hair. "There was an emergency at work. My boss had to leave town unexpectedly, and I had to cover a late-night meeting." "You couldn't call?" Cara shot back. "You couldn't send one text?" "I was in meetings back-to-back. I didn't even realize the time," he explained, his tone pleading. "It wasn't like I forgot, Cara." Cara's jaw tightened as she gestured to the cold, untouched dinner on the table. "So, I spent the whole day planning this for nothing? Do you know how much I was looking forward to tonight?" Noah stepped closer, guilt etched into every line of his face. "I know I messed up, and I'm sorry. I'll make it up to you." As Cara stuffed clothes into her bag, the memory of that night loomed heavy in Noah's mind. He had apologized profusely afterward, even tried to make it up to her with a belated celebration. But he realized now that it hadn't been enough. "Cara," Noah said softly, his voice trembling, "is this all because of that night? Because I missed our anniversary?" She paused, her back to him, her shoulders tense. "It's not just about that night, Noah. It's about every night like it. Every time you put work first. Every time I felt like I didn't matter." "That's not true," Noah said, stepping closer. "You do matter. More than anything." She turned to face him, her eyes red with unshed tears. "You say that, but your actions say otherwise. I needed you, Noah. I needed to feel like I came first, just once. But instead, I got Oliver. Someone who listens to me, who makes me feel seen." Noah's heart sank, a mixture of anger and sorrow bubbling up inside him. "I was doing everything I could to give us a better life. I thought you understood that." "I did at first," Cara said, zipping up her bag. "But I'm tired of understanding, Noah. I'm tired of waiting." She slung the bag over her shoulder, her voice softening. "I'll come back for the rest of my things later." "Cara, please," Noah pleaded, his voice cracking. "Don't do this. Don't throw away everything we've built together." But she just shook her head, tears spilling down her cheeks as she walked toward the door. "Goodbye, Noah." The door closed with a finality that echoed through the house, leaving Noah standing alone in the middle of the room, the weight of her absence settling around him like a heavy fog. As the days passed, Noah found himself navigating the house in a daze. He spent his days at work, his mind constantly replaying the moment Cara had left. But as the hours went by, the pain began to dull, just slightly. It was subtle at first. He'd wake up in the morning, go through the motions, and by evening, when he returned home, the silence no longer felt like an oppressive weight. There was a strange sense of freedom, though he would never admit it to anyone. Not yet. Not after everything that had happened. For the first time in years, Noah didn't feel the pressure to be everything to everyone. He didn't have to hold the weight of his marriage. He could breathe without the constant reminder that someone was waiting for him to fix things, someone whose heart was already halfway out the door. That night, as he walked through the door after another long day at work, Noah took a deep breath and stood still for a moment. The house was quiet, but this time it didn't feel empty. It felt like it was his own again. He walked into the living room, and there, on the coffee table, was his phone. And a text from Cara. Cara, Noah, can we talk? Coffee at Bluebird Cafe tomorrow evening. I'm so sorry for everything. Noah stared at the message, his heart pounding. The emotions swirled. Hurt, anger, confusion, and something else. Hope? Was it possible that Cara was starting to see the cracks too? Did she regret walking away? He set the phone down, the weight of the decision pressing on him. He could call her. He could agree to meet and listen to what she had to say. Maybe she would apologize. Maybe she would beg for forgiveness. Maybe they could fix things. But deep down, Noah knew that some things couldn't be fixed. Some things, once broken, were never the same again. He had given everything to their relationship, and in the end, it wasn't enough. The Bluebird Cafe was their favorite spot during the early days of their relationship. It was where they had their first date and where Noah proposed to her, nervously slipping a ring into her latte foam. When Noah walked in, the familiar scent of roasted coffee beans and vanilla greeted him. Cara was already there, sitting at their old corner table. She looked different. Her usually confident demeanor was replaced with nervous energy, her fingers twisting a napkin into knots. "Hi," she said softly as he approached. Noah sat down without a word, studying her face. She looked tired, her eyes shadowed and red-rimmed, as if she hadn't slept in days. "Thanks for coming," Cara began, her voice wavering. Noah leaned back, crossing his arms. "What do you want, Cara?" She flinched at the sharpness in his tone, but nodded, as if she expected it. "I know I don't deserve your kindness after what I did," she said, "but I need to explain myself and apologize." Noah stayed silent, his gaze steady. Cara took a deep breath. "Leaving the way I did was impulsive. I thought I knew what I wanted, but I didn't. I let my frustrations with us cloud my judgment, and I made a terrible mistake." Noah's jaw tightened. "So Oliver wasn't your knight in shining armor after all?" She looked down, shame coloring her cheeks. "No, he wasn't." Cara hesitated, her hands trembling as she clasped them together. "After I left, Oliver and I stayed at a motel. At first, it felt liberating, I guess. He was attentive, sweet, and everything I thought I was missing. But then things started to feel off." Noah raised an eyebrow, but said nothing. "He avoided talking about his life," Cara continued. "Whenever I asked about his home or his family, he changed the subject. I thought maybe he was just private, but..." Her voice broke and she looked away. "But what?" Noah pressed, his voice calmer now. Cara swallowed hard. "I found out he's married. With a child." Noah blinked, caught off guard. "He's what?" "I didn't know," Cara said quickly, tears pooling in her eyes. "I swear, Noah, I had no idea. I only found out when I had their wedding pictures on his laptop. When I confronted him, he laughed, actually laughed, and said he was just having some fun." She wiped at her face, her voice trembling. "I was just another game to him. And now, I feel like the biggest fool in the world." Noah leaned back in his chair, trying to process what he was hearing. Part of him felt vindicated. Cara had walked out on him for a man who turned out to be a liar. But another part of him felt pity. The woman sitting across from him wasn't the confident, self-assured Cara he had known. She looked lost and broken. "So now what?" Noah asked, his tone cautious. "I want to come back," Cara said, her voice barely above a whisper. "I know I don't deserve it, but I've realized how much I took for granted. I threw away everything we had because I thought the grass was greener somewhere else. But it wasn't. It never was. Noah's chest tightened as her words sank in. Cara reached across the table, her hand hovering near his. I was selfish, Noah. I let my frustrations and my own insecurities blind me to what we had. And you were right. You worked hard for us, for our future. I see that now. Noah met her gaze, his expression calm but firm. I know, Cara, and I appreciate your apology. It means a lot that you've taken the time to reflect. She stepped closer, hope flickering in her eyes. Does that mean we have a chance? I know I made a terrible mistake, but I'm ready to do whatever it takes to fix this. But Noah already knew what he wanted. He took a deep breath, searching for the right words. Cara, I loved you with everything I had. And when you left, it broke me. But I've had time to think, really think, and I realized something. What's that? She asked, her voice barely audible. I deserve someone who doesn't need to lose me to see my worth. Someone who values the life we build without needing to compare it to something else. You made your choice, and now I'm making mine. Cara's face crumpled, tears streaming down her cheeks. But I was wrong, Noah. I see that now. Can't we start over? Noah shook his head gently. I'll always care for you, Cara. But the trust we had, the foundation of what we build, it's gone. And I can't pretend it isn't. Cara nodded slowly, wiping her tears. I understand, she said, her voice thick with emotion. I'll always regret what I did. Noah watched as she left for the final time, her footsteps heavy. When the door closed behind her, he felt a strange mix of sorrow and relief. That evening, Noah sat on the porch with a cup of tea, the sun setting in brilliant hues of orange and pink. For the first time in weeks, he felt truly at peace. Cara had been an important part of his life, but her departure taught him something invaluable. He was stronger than he thought, and he didn't need someone else to define his happiness. As the stars began to dot the sky, Noah smiled to himself. The future was uncertain, but he was ready to embrace it on his own terms. If you've enjoyed this story and want more content on betrayal and heartbreak, make sure to hit that subscribe button now. Don't forget to click the notification bell so you won't miss our upcoming videos that explore real-life stories and powerful emotional journeys.